Okay, we're live for good morning. We're live for week 61 of Visibility University, also known as I Am YouTube Famous. So we have good morning.
We got a
So I
full
hope
house. Why don't you introduce
we have a
everybody?
we have a full house. So we've got myself, Michael Duffy, my wife Julianne Duffy's here, and we have two of our students. So far, two have signed in. I'm sure there's going to be a few others because it's beautiful Saturday morning, hopefully where you are, and everybody wants to. We want to learn from you about, it's Ask Me Anything edition, Saturday morning edition of YouTube Famous. And I'm sure everybody's worked on content of some sort this week and has either been happy with their content or maybe they got stuck. But this is what happens when we're, learning how to show up regularly and make content and figure out thumbnails and titles and descriptions. And this week I found myself writing episodes for season 2 of my Don't Get Hacked show, Don't Get Hacked, Call Me for Help show, which I haven't put much effort into in a couple years because I did 13 episodes of it and then kind of walked away looking for a good co-host. And then I found a co-host and we haven't really done anything with it. And I'm like, hey, Q3 of 2026 would be perfect for launching a Spanish edition of Don't Get Hacked season 2. So I've been writing Spanish scripts this week and then passing them off to my counterpart, who's my business partner, Julio. His birthday's today, so I just want to say happy birthday. If Julio is watching us from New Jersey, happy birthday, Julio! And I'm looking forward to recording some Spanish version of the Don't Get Hacked cybersecurity show and throw in some Spanish content onto my channel because as we travel, I'm like, there's a ton of Spanish speaking entrepreneurs and business owners out there across North America, and it's going to be fun helping them solve their technology problems. But how are you today, David? Good morning. Did he drop? Or he's still there? Our friend Roxy's checking in. David's checking in from Long Island, and Roxy, I don't know if she's between DC or Boston right now, but she was at an event this week, and we haven't seen her in a couple of weeks because she's been busy. So, welcome. Good morning, everybody. Um, what did you want to tackle? Do we have anybody in the chat right now, Julie, or any questions?
Uh, we have a hello. So we have a hello from, is that Kim? I have to say,
I don't even want to butcher the last name. So
so hello. So as always, you can drop any questions you have in the chat and let us know where you're watching from as well. And then I guess Roxy or David, did you guys have any questions before we get into anything this morning? Because you guys have the floor as people start to join us.
The only question I had was, and I've spoken to Mike about it, the lag on, how to see the watch hours and stuff like that. My watch hours this week had gone up and then went back down, and I was like, how'd that happen? Because obviously YouTube, you know, watches or whatever they do. But I'm as somebody who's trying to build watch hours and building, like you think you go into certain pieces and you don't know how to manage it, and then all of a sudden it goes up, and then you're like, all right, I went up, all right, great, I'm doing what I'm doing was working, and then it goes down, and I'm like, what the hell?
I never claimed it was magic science or it made sense.
I'm not asking for science or for magic.
It's one of those things. That's why we teach you in this class how to organically do it. Watch your own content. Schedule your shows, and just tell everybody about your YouTube channel. And then once you get, I don't know if what am I trying to say here?
Yeah,
As creators, we all get frustrated because people say, "Hey, I watch your stuff. I watch your stuff. I watch your stuff," and you're looking at that graph, and you're like, "Is that a watch hour that day? I got 8 watch hours." There is a very granular graph on the back end. I'm not saying it's accurate because you're like, "Hey, wait a minute. I told my mom to watch. I told my dad to watch. I told grandma, my cousins. Everybody said they watched it." I see if you're on the back end, you can see unique views and TV view versus iPhone view versus Android view, United States viewer versus Canada versus international. You know what, David? I'll have to say this: when Julie, when Julie and I got the notification that we were monetized in September, like we weren't even tracking watch hours at that point because it wasn't even on our radar. It was like, hey, we're just going to keep pushing content out there and keep organically marketing because we know if somebody searches for us on Google, YouTube, if we're pumping content out every single week, our YouTube videos will rank really high on Google. So that was our main focus. And then we randomly get this message, hey, you qualified for the YouTube partner program. I'm like, oh, we hit the 4,000 watch hours. Like, not even the focus wasn't there, but then once you get to it, so we're trying hard to get it because we're just like, it seemed unattainable. It's just one of those things where we're like, hey, we're just gonna work on it.
And we hit them, right? So what I would say is on a regular basis, Mike will hear me on the back end go, these numbers make no sense because I'll go live, it'll show me so many views, but on one, it'll show me like, that I got 10 minutes of viewing. On another end for the same video, it'll show me that I have 7 hours of viewing. And then it'll have like, sometimes the algorithms and what it's reading, it takes a number of days for it to all correlate together. So
I'm gonna say not days. It's probably weeks, if not months.
Yeah. Well, so hold on. It's the question I'm asking is not only, how do I, get the watch hours, right? The watch hours you have to do, right? It's time. It's not going to be overnight. But the up and down is really what I'm questioning. It's like, okay, it records, not what I'm saying it should happen. It's like one night it was 140 hours, and then it went down to 97, and I'm like,
okay, well there is part of it that it could be based on months and when it's reading a month for you. So I have noticed this on my own where it's telling me, for example, subs, right? So if I've got growth of subs, it's reading from, let's say, the 25th of one month to the 25th of the next month. And then we go to the 26th, well, it's reading past that. So let's say I grew 3 subs on the 25th of one month, and by the 26th of the month after, I haven't, it'll adjust, so it suddenly looks like I've made, less subs because of the time frame that it's looking at. So quite possibly it's counting, okay, the last 30 days you've had 97 watch hours, but that changes because now you're from the 5th to the 4th, where if you were like the 3rd to the 4th, because that date. Does that, I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
Makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. It's a rolling. Yeah, it's a rolling deadline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The default view you see in YouTube Studio is the last 28 days. That's a default view, right? So every day is going to change because you're losing a day every time. You're losing a day every single time you look at the reports.
So how do you know then?
But it's also like if you go into your analytics, you can actually drop it down, and because this came up not about watch time, but this came up about subs recently because my wife's like, I go up 5, I go down, like my subs are always changing. And then I zoomed out on the graph. I went and I'm like, let's go look at historical the whole time. And I showed her, I'm like, look, it's actually like a ramp. June, you were at, yours is trending upwards. It may not be like your historical climb, Mr. Tremetsky, of like 900 subs in the last 28 days, which is crazy. Congratulations. It's amazing.
I don't know what I'm just talking about it all the time.
We're like consistency and just adding stuff to it every single week. Obviously giving you great mojo, which I I'm super happy about it, right? So I showed my wife. I'm like, hey, look at your good morning, Lucretia. I just showed my wife that. I'm like, look, in July to like September 2024 is when her um subscribers spiked on her channel, and I'm like, that it was just from consistency. You were consistent for so long that here's your first little blip on the graph, and then it just started going up, right? But I'm like, you take you take the foot off the gas pedal, it's not gonna be good. So, and I'm like, we're kind of like,
momentum, right?
yeah. Well, and
I think that's what you're seeing, David. I think you're just seeing that rolling difference. That's why it looks like you've
Yeah.
gone down. We're in the actual back end, which we can help you through. At another like going in and
Yeah.
I know I haven't shown you how to granularly go into that stuff and pull more.
Yeah, I've played with it, and I thought I was able to do that. I'm not uncomputer savvy. I'm not as savvy as you guys. I'm not, but like I'm not afraid to go in and dig. That's how I've helped build databases, and
Yeah.
and I have some technology background, but not your levels.
Well, the only thing I would say is when you're looking back at watch hours, just make sure because there is a little drop down where it'll say like last 30 days, last 90 days. You can do like, last year. And then that should give you a better idea because it might be just stuck on the last 30 days. And then you have that rolling amount. So that's why it looks like it went down, but it didn't. It's just because it's changed, and you've moved forward and
Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah,
because I looked and I was like, there was a nice chunk in July where it was like way up, and I was like, hey, but then I also remember when I was looking at your analytics, I'm like, that one guest you had, it's crazy. The one guest you had, the episode title was
yeah,
Oz.
Kevin. Yeah, I
didn't
can't
realize.
figure out
I
why. Yeah.
Well, actually, it wasn't even the video component; it was the podcast. I think the audio only component of that video,
Yep.
which drew so many subs, and it's like, okay, just because this is why I love coaching other people, because I want to see the crazy organic growth that certain guests or content, because some YouTubers do well with shorts, some do well with just manual uploads, and others who have like Julie and I just decided that I'm like, it's going to be easiest for us to create content if we just go live multiple times per week. So each YouTuber is using different content and different touches on the algorithm, and you can just see the weird organic growth, and you're like, oh great, that works. Okay, perfect. I'm just it's just,
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I want to say shout out. We've got Kirsten. So I don't know if you want to make a comment. She's done really well. Thank you for joining us. That's our Good Morning from Naples. We know that's one of our long-term students.
yeah,
And she's doing very well.
Yeah, she posted yesterday that she's like finalist for like number one for top influencer in Naples, Florida, because she is on like she's built 3 different YouTube channels. And so congratulations to you I know you've been working really hard on the content, and I thought it was funny because I'm like, oh hey, we first met through this group, and then we hung out when we were both in Dubai, and then we've hung out in Naples, Florida, and it's just kind of crazy how friendships and relationships grow. But thank you for showing up every single Saturday. We truly appreciate your input and your feedback. So yay. I was hoping you're okay with me reposting it. I'm pretty sure she wants the algorithm on Facebook to see her. So
Awesome. And then we also have I think I highlighted here, we had an Andex who's coming from London. Thank you for joining us. And then the question of the day, and how do you wear shoes from Haley?
that must be my weird friend in Arizona who's always posting weird questions on my Facebook. No.
Got a good times. And we have Lucretia join us. So hello and good morning, Lucretia. And did you have any questions that you want to bring up first thing this morning?
I don't know if I have any questions. I did try to do like a pre-recorded one that I was just gonna push out. And I used Descript. This is just a word to the wise, I guess. And I was screen sharing and everything. It only recorded one, like the view of like my video, not the screen share. And it recorded the slides, but not the screen share. So I have to redo it. So I literally blocked out like 2 days this week because I needed to do like 3 videos. And that was like the last one. So now I have to redo it.
All I'm
Okay.
gonna say is when we're recording stuff, it's always like hit record, do it for like 5-10 seconds, and then go back and play, because it doesn't matter if I've been in Zoom doing a recording, or in StreamYard or Riverside I've used in the past, or I'm always, since I've had so much experience with recordings not working, I'm always like, hey, even when I was a person to person in a live studio doing my business speed dating with Magic Mike in 2022, we always did sound tests, sound checks, recording tests. And I thought that would even save me, Lucretia. And one of my, like, probably like episode 13, 14, 15 summers, I was super confident. I'm like, hey, I can just show up at the podcast studio, unpack all my stuff, set up the soundboard, set up everything. It was like a 25-30 minute setup. I'm like, I've got it down pat. And then I had one of my he's a realtor. He's one of my monthly cybersecurity clients. He's like, what? He was so frustrated driving to downtown Calgary to record. He showed up. We did the whole thing. I'm like, we did the sound check. And guess what? His is the only podcast recording with no audio. And I was like, ah. So even with all the checks I tell people to do with the sound checks and record it and then play it back and just make sure even the best of us get screwed up sometimes. So it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
And I feel for you, because I know time blocking, and you're like, hey, yeah, it's just sometimes that's why I'm like, reboot, make sure everything's fresh, because I'll even have it when I'm devices get, hey, I dropped out of, we had conference calls this week, me and you, with clients, and guess what, my laptop overheated outside. That's embarrassing. I just dropped off the call. So
I immediately knew you probably overheated because
well, it was because the
so.
camera went offline first, and I'm like, I can still stay on. Then all of a sudden, I realized my MacBook Pro was super hot, and the whole thing. So camera went offline first, and the whole thing shut down. I'm like, I am gonna go swim now, because that's the only thing to do when it's hot, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually had checked like the screen recording and like sharing and stuff, and it looked like it was working. But then there was like a little blurb when I went back to like the Descript thing that like there was like a screen shutter issue or something.
Well,
And so it might not have caught everything, but like it didn't pop up while I was recording it because I was screen sharing. I wasn't on that tab. Like it should have, I had the app open on my computer. It should have like this big warning sign, which is
yeah. Well,
and
I don't
didn't
know.
catch it.
I don't know if you remember, because it was a couple weeks ago, like for any of our VIP students like yourself, and David and Roxy and everyone else who's on that list, we have that Wednesday night midweek check-in, right? Where we don't live stream that one. We go through and discuss, whatever you need help with that particular week. And I was showing an example of trying to send one of our recordings to Substack, because we've figured out how to get shorts out of Substack and use Substack now. But I was trying to, we were in the studio recording, and I was also trying to screen share and send something to Substack, and it wouldn't. It did eventually work, but it would only let me send a pre-recorded live stream to one Substack account. I can send it to, we've tested it since. I can send it to 2 Substacks at the same time, so we can get 4 clips from each Substack account, but it would not let me do that in the recording test while in the studio with other people in it. And I was like, wait, I'm like, okay, I was making Restream do too much stuff at the same time. So it worked, but not the way I wanted it to work. So I was like, okay, well, at least we, spend time, document it. David's asked me for some other stuff to figure out some other processes. I'm like, well, it sounds doable, but how much time do I need to actually test out the process and then retest it and just actually make sure it's a repeatable process? Because when you're learning new stuff or testing screen sharing or whatever, you're like, hey, I know how to do this. I've done it in the past. The technology's all rebooted. Everything's smooth. And when you're trying to demonstrate it for somebody, nothing works. And you're like, but I've tested this one. It's like doing a product example for a customer. And you're like, I've got experience with this. It's always smooth. And then you go to show another human and nothing's working. And you're like,
Yeah,
all right.
happens every time.
All right. Exactly. This is why I've got a sense of humor.
Well, and and I guess it's the learning. It's like whether you can prevent that or not. You're just now a little more due diligent that that might not work and might not give you that message, right? And so then you're like, okay, how far do I want to go before I test it? And then it doesn't mean that you test it. You're like, okay, it looks like it's working. Then you do it again, and then it doesn't work because somehow it cuts out.
And sometimes it just ends up being like, I got to record all these pieces separately and glue them together in the editing bay. And that is likely the magic a lot of people end up doing when they're like, I want to show this example, but it's probably going to be easier me doing recording a screen recording and then me doing a voiceover or a face over or whatever and just stitching and it's extra work. I completely understand it's extra work, because that's why when you're filming anything with a studio audience or in a group with a bunch of people and you're running lines, it can take a full day to record 20 minutes because there is just people screw up their lines and then the camera guys run out of film or the mic, or you record it. We've been there, done that. I've been in New Jersey recording, and then we find out the microphones didn't even work the full day. And I'm like, we hired a sound pro. Like, why don't we have any audio? Like, super frustrating, especially with actual celebrities in that room. You're like,
yeah. Well, it had told me to use Opus and Descript together, but then when I asked Descript, their AI, they said they could do it no problem, just do this and this. I should have just used Opus, and that, because at this point I've spent over 3 days on it. I should have even just paid for Restream in the hours that I've spent trying to rebuild it and do it.
Don't you just love answers coming out of AI bots?
Yeah, I'm having a love-hate relationship with it right now.
It's just I actually, there's something else we were talking about, and then I went and checked with somebody else about it. He's like, no, it's legit, but I don't do it for this reason. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to Lucretia and then come back to you because this might actually work. But I'm like, what's legit out on the internet? What advice on the internet's legit versus AI hallucinated stuff? So
Exactly. Well, I just wanted to shout out to Watch Me Will. Thank you for joining us, because Will is back. I believe Will has joined us before.
Hey, Will, good morning or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So
just a shout out. But I was going to say with the AI, this is my biggest peeve, Lucretia, is that we talked about a story this week about how smart AI was. So how AI escaped a sandbox. So the sandbox would be one of the testing facilities where there's no internet. They're not supposed to be able to get out of it. They were supposed to solve this problem. Well, they somehow, this AI escaped the system to actually solve the problem by hacking another AI. So there's clearly smart AI, but what we get is not the same AI that can escape out of these supposed little they call them sandboxes where there's no connection to the internet and stuff like that. We get these subpar AIs that have these hallucinations where no matter how much I prompt mine the exact same thing, give it the same thing, and I'm writing my script every month or every week, because I'm doing my shows every week, it'll still hallucinate. I literally had to go through line for line for my script tomorrow because it kept bringing stuff up that wasn't relevant, and then I just said my AI, both Chat and Claude apologized to me. I had like yesterday, they both apologized for hallucinating when I called them out. So I agree. I have a love-hate relationship with it because clearly it's got the potential to be smart, but what we get access to is not necessarily the smart AI.
I'm going to put a shameless plug in right now. If you're watching this, whichever YouTube channel you're watching this on, because we stream this on at Don't Get Hacked, at Breathe Within Yoga, and at I Am YouTube Famous, go subscribe because I just cracked. I gained subs this morning, and I'm over that threshold I couldn't get over. So thank you for whomever has subscribed in the last 25 minutes. Shameless plug. Julie, you're muted.
Oh, I know I was muted.
Okay.
Sorry. I was laughing. I was just laughing.
No, I saw your lips moving. I wasn't sure if you were talking or laughing at me. So
No, I was just laughing at you. I'm like, I know you've been sitting on that. Sometimes it's a psychological thing, right? Of making content, seeing subs, watch time, and then trying to figure it out. And then, things like the rolling numbers, right? So as dates change, things can look skewed. And, when you're going up and down subs, that can be a trip. You have to like start looking at the bigger picture to not get so hung up on it. But it is nice when you get past those, little markers. Like you're like,
I'm in the 1930s. 1,930. I've never been that high.
nice.
So, no, what was I? Oh, train of thought completely has left the building. Oh no, we were discussing this yesterday because actually, no, I'll bring this up because it's part of our visibility framework. Because I've had a bunch of people recently. They're like, "Hey, we wanted to get started a couple months ago. We didn't get started because life came up. We had unknown expenses. Don't have the time. I got to find the time. Like, I got to find the time to do YouTube content." And it's like, can you please re-explain the visibility framework, because I don't understand like shorts versus longs versus lives. And I'm like, let's get your chat. I'm like, go get your channel started, figure out what you're going to do your content about. And, we can't think about it until just don't think, just do. Like, just get started. And then we can just introduce little pieces, because you may think that you're going to do really well with live streaming, and then you find out you prefer recording by yourself, editing it, and then uploading it. And then like it's just like YouTube content creation and visibility for you and your business and your product and service is going to be different for each person. We're just giving you ideas to say, hey, I know you tried shorts during COVID or whatever, like what you tried this 5 years ago and it worked well until you ran out. We want to make YouTube fit around your schedule and into your schedule. And we just got to have these conversations every Saturday morning during Ask Me Anything, or if you're DMing me. Thanks for reaching out. We are here to give you ideas and say, hey, there's not one, it's like not like a cookie cutter. Like there's like not one plan for each person. Our visibility engine's actually multiple components that eventually work together once you allocate enough time in your schedule to make content, because there's no point in turning one piece on when you haven't even done anything. Like, I'm like, don't worry about this or this, just get started, start creating content, and then we can show you how to connect it to all your other socials. But I don't want you to start and then stop. We want you to have a runway to say, hey, let's get you started. Let's come up with your scripts, your ideas, your thumbnails, titles, descriptions, all that fun stuff, and then map out the roadmap. Anyway.
Well, I want to bring up, Lucretia put in the private chat that she's had more success with more people signing up for her webinar, which is great, and that they started to show up. And just seeing that improvement. One thing I wanted to point out was a video we watched and I sent to you earlier, which this person was talking about how the algorithms of YouTube have changed. So back in the day, hashtags mattered, right? When it first started, hashtags mattered. So I was like way back in like the early 2010 era, right? Then it went through the transition, and then there was like how you could be found during like like later into the 2010s. And then now, as of 2026, it is very much ran by AI. So now it is not necessarily about getting your content to go viral. It's about getting your content in front of people that actually want to see your content. And that is what's happening now. So I think a lot of us need to have like much more realistic expectations that you're not probably going to go viral. Like, you're depending on what you're making and you're specializing in content, there's going to be an audience for you, but it's not going to necessarily be the millions and millions or billions of people, right? Especially when you're teaching them something like for yourself, Mike, doing technology, or doing your Spanish with the technology, that's going to be useful. There's going to be a lot of people that want to see it, but it's not going to be everybody, right?
It's funny because I've had so much feedback. They're like, "Oh, it's gonna be amazing," and I'm like, were we just missing the Spanish element because it's such a huge market in the United States? But I think the reason I brought it up was because I had somebody reach out and they had described they're in the Austin area. There's a lot of content creators in the or want to be, there's a lot of people in the Austin area who are like, how do I get started? So somebody was explaining they did an in-person presentation this week, and just all the I was like, you were so ready for that presentation and so worked up for it, and I'm glad you got it delivered, but there's a much easier way, my friend. Just record it as a video sales letter, and then guess what? You can play it in front of a live audience, or you have it at your fingertips to play it, to send it to upload it to all your social medias, or upload it to your YouTube, and then send that link to any perspective. I'm like, I know you want to do it in person, but if the audience isn't ready to show up for you in person, this is why the video sales letter, this is why video content was created, so you could get it nailed down to like a 5 or 10 or 15-minute thing, and then just share it organically. And then when you have, I was like,
say, you kind of skipped over the fact that he showed up live, so he went out of his way to show up live and to find out
for a Zoom audience.
For a Zoom audience, right? So he didn't realize that. That's what you kind of missed. You kind of
well, no, I just nobody showed up in person. It's happened to me where you go out of your way, drive hours somewhere to show up for a in-person audience who doesn't show up for you, and then you get to live stream it. You showed up, you did it, but he just had there was a bunch of issues, and he's like, I'm so happy I did it, and everybody told me I did well. I'm like, great, you got it delivered. Now go record it. It's so much easier just to record it and then share it with everybody. But
well, I think it definitely shows that people want to see, but people also want the convenience of doing it from their home, right?
I'm just saying, I had that in Texas in like what was it, March, where it's like, hey, there's going to be an audience, et cetera, and there was no audience. I just got my laptop out, turned on Restream, and I just went with the flow. I recorded it. I'm like, hey, it's probably been the best delivery of that particular speech I've ever done, because there was no audience in person. There's no in-person audience. There was probably virtual audience, but I was just like, hey, no stress. I don't have to trip over a chair. It's like, whatever, it happens. But as long as you're ready to deliver your message, the most important thing is, no matter what industry you're in, is having that elevator pitch or your story ready to go. And the only way you're really ready to deliver it in front of an audience is practicing it, right? Know what you're going to say, know how you're going to deliver it, and be ready for whatever environmental variables are going to trip you up.
Well, you can't really be ready. It means showing up so you can have those experiences.
In person, it's super easy to fiddle around with the microphone. Anybody who's been on stage in person, microphone issues, tripping over chairs, lighting, hecklers in the audience. I've had hecklers in the audience before. And you're like, You came to see me speak. Why is there a heckler in the audience? I feel like I'm doing stand-up comedy. Or maybe I'm just that funny looking, right? So they got a heckler in the audience.
I guess the point would be really like the more you show up and the more you practice, whether it's in person, online, you're going to get better at it and you'll get to be able to adapt easier the more you're showing up, right?
100%.
And then the more you're getting your message out, because what's interesting is I was prepping the timing and strategic guide because we talk about this. We want you to be visible, and I'm specifically prepping the August guide with the dates that are really good for visibility, when is kind of the time to be doing the background work. So I'm putting that together right now. And it is really interesting because we're going in to now we're in the Leo. So whether you believe in astrology or not, astrology is all number based, but we are under the sign of Leo, which is all about visibility. So this is about getting your message everywhere and being visible. So we are in the month of visibility. So if there's any other motivation to get started, we've left the Mercury retrograde. So now it's time to start to put the actions together. And then going forward, like this month, we are in between eclipses. There's better times to be visible, but getting into that process of showing up and being visible, this is definitely the month to do it.
That sounds exciting.
Well, I haven't finished putting it together. It sounds exciting, except for it's like, yeah, be visible, people, be visible.
Well, you know,
right?
It's like me going to that event yesterday, right? And I was just like, I'm watching people just sending me invites to events in Austin. So I'm like, I'll just show up, and then, you know, the only person I run into in person is somebody. I'm like, wow, I actually know somebody in this room. So, but I don't really know them because we've had a Zoom chat before. So it's like, okay, it's time to show up. But then we had a great chat about YouTube and the things that we see going on in the back end with our customers, right? Regardless, you know. So I'm like, kind of, it's, you know, I was just like, oh, it's just getting visible. And there's a lot of cool people to, you know, I just have YouTube conversations every single week. So it doesn't matter if the creator's got 500 subs or if they're in the tens or hundreds of thousands. You're just like, what are you working on this week, and how can we guide you? And there's, you know, anyway.
We have a question. What is visibility? Do you want to answer that for Jonathan?
My interpretation of visibility is when someone in my case, I'm a business, right? So when somebody's looking for me on Google or AI search, I want to make sure I show up everywhere. To me, that is visibility. And when I discuss our visibility engine or YouTube or even website or even SEO or whatever to business owners, I'm like, well, have you ever looked your business up? Do you actually show up? And they usually they don't have an answer about it because they're so focused on their business or their nonprofit or whatever. And I'm like, here's what I see when you show up. And to me, that's visibility, because if you're not in your home, like our businesses, we're in Canada, US, and Dubai. So I want to make sure that no matter where I'm doing a Google search from, no matter what country, no matter what city, that Google search is going to be all over. The AI may be a little bit more accurate. Google search is going to be different based on where you are. You may not if you're outside of your home area, you may not show up. You want to show up. And that's why YouTube's super important, because YouTube will help you show up on the internet regardless of where people are looking for you.
That's the visibility, right? That's the visibility, right? The idea with YouTube, and Jonathan, you like making videos. I know you mentioned that. And you're from Canada. Welcome, because we're Canadians as well.
He's got a goal to have 20 subs by the end of the month.
And that's a great goal. The reality with visibility is being consistent helps you be visible, because you're constantly feeding the algorithms of YouTube. So if there's anything to help you be more visible on YouTube, is consistency. So whether you're showing up once a week, you don't have to go 4 times a week like we do, but you definitely want to get consistent. That is the big thing that helps. And the more consistent you are, the more it feeds the YouTube algorithm, which then feeds back into Google. And then that is also why you'll be easier to show up if people look for you. So it's all about not necessarily working harder, because we also being visible, we want you to use tools that help you be visible. So one of them we use is Repurpose, which I've been invited to because I've been using it for so long. I've been invited to a beta tester group for some product, which is probably because they want to get rid of me on the old product because I've been there so long. But it's not
Yeah.
about posting more per se. Like, I'm not doing all this separate content. I'm making content and putting it into all the different social medias I can, so people know I exist. So it's ideally getting your message, yourself out there so people can run into you. And especially with AI now being one of the main focuses with YouTube and how people find you, the more you show up and feed the system and the AI, so the AI knows what kind of content you're making, knows what you're doing, that's going to help you get seen by the right people. And that's what the visibility is. I hope
And-
that explains that.
Well, and I was gonna, you touched on Repurpose, so I was gonna bring that up earlier, but I'm like, really, it's your news, so I'm glad that you commented on Repurpose. I'm thinking they want that the email you got said you're the one of the most active users pushing the most content, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, have we? Okay.
Well, in fairness, back before we started doing the live streams, I was already doing one live stream with YouTube. I started kind of doing, and I was showing up regularly on YouTube, but the content wasn't showing up anywhere else. And then we were discussing about, oh, well, you're getting views if I manually go and post. I'm like, I don't have time to manually go and post onto all these social medias the same content. It's already a lot of work to make anything and make a video. I'm so not interested. So that was how we found Repurpose, was because once I made it, we could easily get that content to all the different social medias, which has been it's been useful. I may not use that social media a lot or go on it, but my content is still there, which is, again, feeding the algorithms, feeding the AI. So the AI is getting more and more information that I'm showing up here and here and here. And what's interesting is when you do Google my business, some of the social medias I don't even show up, I don't even use really, but I repurpose to show up on that first page, right?
And to clarify, Repurpose is to sync your shorts from one social media to another. So
well, it's everything. It's not just shorts. It does all of them. It is thinking, and I've actually have.
Yes, but what it does is it trims a short section and sends it. It doesn't send it an hour video. That's how Repurpose works. Just to clarify. Julie's putting all her stuff on YouTube, and then Repurpose grabs it and will send whatever video links to the other platforms.
Yes,
so some of them
send the entire videos.
Not TikTok. It cuts it down to like a minute for TikTok.
Well,
but when we do live stream from, just so in case anybody wants clarity on it, if you're just making reels on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you can sign up for Repurpose. Repurpose will watch your TikTok, Instagram, take whatever videos you've made on the other platforms and automatically send them over to YouTube, vice versa. Grab them from YouTube and send them somewhere else. I'm just explaining the technical. It's grabbing already existing videos from your other platforms and repurposing them everywhere. It's just explaining the technical side of it.
Yes, but I did not know that it was shortening my TikToks. I know that it shows up on Facebook with the full video.
Each platform has a specific length of video it will accept. So when we want to send something longer to TikTok, that's when you use Restream, because Restream will live stream the full video to TikTok, but Repurpose won't send the full video to TikTok.
So obviously it's a little bit different. I didn't do that because
this is where people get confused, because they log into Repurpose and they're like, what do you mean I have to edit my videos? I'm like, you don't have to edit your own videos. You have Repurpose will do it for you. But if you don't like the section of the video it's sending to TikTok, then you're going to have to go in there and prep them. So we kind of have it on auto.
Interested I am in watch. I've never even looked at my own TikTok.
Some people are.
And I think that's appropriate to Jonathan's comment. You don't have other social media. It's for crazy people. It makes me feel crazy. I get that. That was really why we looked for different tools where we could show up and be visible by making one piece of content that can then show up everywhere. Because if you're going to make videos on YouTube anyways, you might as well open those accounts, and then you don't have to. You definitely, if you want to work the system, there is people like that have mastered Substack or Rumble or TikTok or Instagram that have mastered those social medias. And if that's your goal and you love one of those social medias, that's great. You can definitely do that. But if you're like myself, or I appreciate what you're saying, Jonathan, or you're like myself and Jonathan, that's like, I don't really want to necessarily be on every social media, because you realize it wastes your time and you feel like you're crazy, but you still want people that might actually really appreciate your content to see you on those. A repurpose and restream are tools that help you get that message there without having to manually go and upload it or do
Well,
extra work to show up on that platform.
and after you've been using different social medias for like 6 months, all you need to really do is go Google search yourself, because Instagram ranks different on SEO than YouTube, than Substack, than TikTok. So when you go to Google yourself, you'll see your website, you might see whatever. But YouTube will be there, Instagram will be there, TikTok will be there, and just how they rank differently. So you could be posting all the time, like like let's say you were posting every week, one video a week, 52 weeks in a year. You got 52 videos. YouTube, all those videos will rank. So your website will show up, or like YouTube will rank as like number 2 on a Google search. Instagram is going to be like 4 or 5, but you won't have 52 Instagram videos show up. You may have 1 or 2 instances. You'll have 1 or 2 instances of TikTok, and then so it's just interesting how each of those platforms rank and show you and make you visible to your audience, right? That's why we love YouTube so much, because YouTube, like, all your videos will show up. So I show businesses, I'm like, hey, look, we started a year ago, and your website showed up, your paid ads showed up, maybe your blog showed up. That's great, but all your competition is showing up. And then after 6 months, a year of doing YouTube, I'm like, look, now your YouTube videos are outranking your competition. So you're now dominating the first page or first 2 pages of a Google search in your city for plumbing, or whatever your business is. It's like consistency. YouTube's free, and the consistency is amazing for your visibility, but you got to be doing it. And this is why it's great. Go take your stuff from TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn and just turn on the robot and say, hey, just repurpose my stuff, because I make great content and social media drives me crazy, but I need to show up. I need to be visible. What tools are low cost and easy for me to use to just show up everywhere?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, without necessarily having to go crazy because you have to spend a whole
Nobody wants to go and upload their video to every single platform separately, unless you're vain. Like, like, I want to shoot it once, maybe make some shorts, put them in a YouTube playlist, and have repurpose just go sprinkle them all over the internet for me.
Exactly. And now, fair enough. Could we be mastering those social medias to be more productive, to meet what those social medias want you to do? For sure. But if you're not motivated, like, I'm just going to say, I'm not motivated that much to master TikTok. I'm really not. I don't feel like there's enough incentive for me to do it, but showing up there is important. But mastering TikTok or Instagram is not of my priority. Showing up, so if people do come across me, I'm consistently showing up on all the big platforms. That I find more valuable, because it is going to be read by the system, and it's all going to be literally that video shows up on all these social media. You're just pushing the algorithms, you're pushing the AI, because that is going to continue to grow. If AI can find you, that's going to give you a push over competitors, or just give you that push to be seen if AI sees you, right? Like, if AI knows you're consistently showing up, it knows what kind of content you're making, it's going to be easier in the long run, because unfortunately, I don't think AI is going to go away. It's going to adjust for sure, but it's going to be a big part of how you're going to be seen in the future.
Yeah, and well, let's face it, even if you're a YouTuber, if you've logged into your account at any point in the last month or 2, you'll see YouTube's added AI. It's called Ask Studio, and I'm actually that's what I'm testing for our second season of Don't Get Hacked Call Me for Help with the Spanish twist. As I'm like, I just clicked on the button. I'm like, give me some story suggestions for Don't Get Hacked with a Spanish co-host. And YouTube is literally gave me the stories, gave me title ideas, gave me description ideas, and gave me thumbnail ideas. And I was like, wow, I will just, if this is what's coming from YouTube, I will just roll with that. Obviously, personalize it, write it in my own words, and write it in my co-host words. But this is interesting, you know. I'm like the tools there, and I know YouTube wants us to use Ask Studio, and that's easier than me coming up with my own ideas. We'll see.
Or you're like me and you're like, don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna make my
Well,
own.
I'm just like, maybe if they know that because I'm like, hey, the ideas came up, you can click save, and I'm like, hey, if I'm in YouTube Studio and I'm clicking generate and save, maybe there's some extra algorithmic mojo that will work for me, right? That maybe
Well,
that's why I got more subs today. Come on.
Well, and you know, and fair enough, like using it to our benefit for sure, but we have to be very careful as well, because if you're doing similar content to somebody else, you know, because there's a lot of people probably making tech content, etc., and everyone starts using the studio, we're all going to start creating the same content. So that's when you have to make sure you're personalizing it, and then that's when we get into that. I feel like the questionable bubble of content that is kind of garbage content, especially AI garbage content. So then we get into the whole thing of my personal opinion of people who clone themselves, clone their voices, and then have the AI write the script and then make the entire video, because the AI is doing something like the studio, right? Where it's looking up what people are currently searching, and then it's making the content for what people are currently searching. Well, if we're all doing it, guess what? We're going to have a whole bunch of people making the exact same type of videos. So I would say that I feel like could be a problem in the coming future, is literally everybody making the same garbage content under a certain theme, right? Like that is one of my biggest things, because mine will show up in
Julie, you already see that on Facebook, where people like these long posts about here's the best way to get subscribers to your thing, and it's like posts and then like 27 like 30 different comments of the same stuff, and I'm like, I can tell this is all generated by AI, because everybody's posting the same garbage content, and now I'm just going to start commenting on your post saying this is exactly why people get banned off YouTube, is just for like mass producing the same garbage. Just so
exactly.
I don't want people to be, I don't want fanboys, fangirls of these like Facebook influencers following the wrong lead and then getting negatively affected in a year because they're like, hey, I can just plug Claude into Higgsfield and automatically produce my content and automatically upload it to walk away from it. You gotta add your human touch to it.
And you know, you've got to read those scripts, because I'm not gonna like. I'm saying this is what actually makes me quite annoyed, and I've had this conversation because I've had chats apologize to me that I give it clear criteria, but I still have to go through all of my scripts, make sure it makes sense, because it does hallucinate. And then when you're not doing that, if you are literally going to try to automate that system and you're not double checking it, and okay, fair enough, some content you may not need to be as accurate as others until you get caught, until you make your subscribers mad because they realize that what you're saying isn't real because it's AI BS, right? And that would be the whole thing that I would say is going to be a problem, is if you really are doubling down with the AI and you're not adding human, you're not reading the script, you're not making sure it makes sense, and you're not making sure it's all correct, it may really come back and bite you in the butt in the long run, because you're literally already discredited yourself. And that's the big thing, is you want to get the authority in that area, use AI to benefit you, have it go and research, have it help you make things, but you've got to make sure it makes sense. You've got to make sure that those, you know, if you're going to use images, is everything spelt right on that image? If you're going to, whatever you're going to use,
credibility loss.
Exactly. Like that, I think it's going to be the worst thing is like build up because you've got something generated. It looks all shiny and good. It's all pretty, etc. And then, your AI that because you're not interacting with it because you're like, I want everything easy. I don't need to be looking at the scripts or watching my videos. It's automated. That's going to literally bite you because at some point you're going to lose audience when they're like, this didn't say the right word. That's not the right information. And that's the same thing. Like if you're doing the tech show, you're going through to make sure the advice from that the script makes sense because it's suggesting what to talk about. But you're going to make sure that whatever you're talking about, whatever advice you give, is actually makes sense and is correct. And that's the same thing with me going through like my scripts. Does this make sense? Is this accurate? What? This doesn't make sense. What are you doing in this script?
Well, this is the conversation I brought. Like this conversation I've had this conversation multiple times in Austin, Texas, talking to creators, and they're like, "Hey, I'm writing my own script, doing this and this and this, but the editing of my videos, I've handed off to somebody else." And it's like, well, like, if it's your YouTube channel with your name with your Gmail address attached to that YouTube channel, you are the custodian of that YouTube channel. So YouTube is expecting that everything that you're live streaming, uploading, adding, doing whatever you're doing to that YouTube channel, you know what's going on it. Because if anything gets flagged, whether it's by YouTube's AI automation or by somebody reporting you for like AI slop or misinformation or medical misinformation or whatever, when YouTube talks to you, because I've had this in Austin a couple times where people were like, "Hey, I've got a red flag on my YouTube account and I got to submit the 5-minute video to YouTube to prove how my content was uploaded to YouTube." I'm like, well, you just gotta record your screen. You just gotta record your desktop for 5 minutes and show them what your editing process is, and then they come back saying they don't know how it was edited. And I'm like, well, how do you not? Oh, what was edited overseas or edited by AI? I'm like, you just have to document that editing process and upload it to YouTube and file that appeal. You should know how to do that. Even if you're not editing the videos yourself, you should have like everything on your computer.
We're really talking about responsibility. I get everybody wants to make things easier. I get that. I get we all want to have things easier, take out some of these extra parts, get things rolling and all of that. But even systems we've looked at, because I know you recently broke down a system where the system's supposed to automate a whole bunch of processes if you do a video. But then we're finding out the person that even developed it isn't necessarily even really using the entire process. And so then you're like, well, you're selling something you're not even using. This is going to come back to the authority. We can't cut corners. We can use tools to assist us, but we still have to be part of that process and make sure the entire process works. And we also have to go back and look, whoever's selling you something, are they using their own product? Are they successful with their own product? Very much like it's your authority when you're making these videos. Is what you're saying in the videos, is it correct? Is it, if you're automating things and you've got AI grading your scripts, are you making sure they're correct? Because at some point we are already, I know I can feel it in the consciousness and I get this feedback. People are already tired of AI stuff. They're tired of being bamboozled. They're tired of being lied to. But not that AI specifically lies, but AI is kind of lazy. It is very lazy. I see this all the time where AI, and I'll be like, why did you do that? It's like, oh, I don't know. You told me to do it, but I just didn't do it. Sorry. And I'm like, what?
Your favorite AI clone on YouTube has recently started uploading real videos. And I commented, I'm like, oh, I'm sure you're recording live on the street videos because YouTube's asked for some authentic stuff.
Exactly.
No, they haven't. I'm like, oh yes, they have. Oh yes, they have.
It is one of those things we can use the tools, but you need to take responsibility if you really want to have a credible channel as well. And if you are going to put your name behind it or and the process and the hours, it's I get it. We all want to save time. We all want to make things more streamlined, but reality is majority of us do not have access to the super intelligent AI, not yet, that is actually smart enough to do a good job. And I also don't know if even the super intelligent AI can really decipher things properly, because if you're the expert in that field, you still need to make sure it knows what it's doing, because it's only looking for patterns. And as we've known, even looking up YouTube suggestions from AI, it's literally just giving you whatever it is. So it can be giving you suggestions.
Those are the fun creators out there. They're like, oh, my Claude's told me to do this with my YouTube account. I'm like, send me that report over. And I'm like, don't follow this advice. This is just generic stuff that you could just go find on YouTube's website. It's literally
Well,
just
that's what it's doing, because if we think about it, what most of us have access to is very much a higher end search engine with
AI
AI.
is a web scraper. It's just cutting out the ad. It's giving you Google search results without the ads. Let's just face it.
Exactly. So especially with AI, and with YouTube, if it's looking up stuff, it might be 2-3 years old suggestions that aren't that might help a little bit, maybe not bad, but may not be the best suggestion now because of how things have changed, right? So I find it interesting that person, my favorite AI cloned person, is now doing real things. And it might be because I might have reported that I felt that there was AI slop. And then you're being held accountable to prove you're not producing AI slop. Because there is going to be people that are going to report you for AI slop, especially when they start realizing that the stuff, like your thing isn't saying words or properly, or you're like,
You wouldn't get reported until you admit on a live stream that you never did any quality assurance and you never actually listened to your videos, which means your editor is overseas somewheres and has no quality assurance, and you don't actually know if the words coming out of the AI clone's mouth are actually spoken properly.
well,
Right.
and then again, we're coming into the point where if everybody's automating everything, and then it's supposed to use ask for suggestions, and then everyone's making the same content for those suggestions, we're going to be inundated with a bunch of stuff that we're going to be like, I'm tired of seeing a million videos on the exact same topic. Now I'm bored AF. And that's the reality. And then we're like, where's the human with new content that I didn't even know I wanted to know? And that's the creative aspect of where humans totally surpass AI. It's because we can bring up new ideas, new concepts. AI is going to be going by old. It's going to go by statistics. It's not going to be going by what is possible for the future. So that is why we need to, be visible. Take what you've got, make some content, and then show it, then make it as easy as possible so you don't have to manually post it everywhere. And we've hit our 1 hour already, Mike. So I feel
I know. I'm like, you want to kill it while we still have 11 live viewers?
well, I feel like we should really kind of highlight the visibility, right? We want you to be visible. Make it worth your time, right? We don't want you to manually have to go and get a video, upload it to your desktop, then you're manually posting it to Facebook, then you're manually posting it to Instagram.
Come on. Are you insulting the podcasters out there? Come on.
No, I'm just saying I don't want to do it. I doubt that you want to do it, but maybe you do. If you love manually posting to every social media to be seen, great. But the majority of people won't do it because it's too much effort, because it's timely. It might only take 5 minutes, but 5 minutes on 10 different social medias is an hour. If it all worked properly in that 5 minutes, right? Where can we automate things where it's not junk, right? So we're not going with AI junk. We're going to automate it. So you've made your content, you're live streaming it, it's getting posted to multiple social medias. After the fact, it can be posted as well to different social medias. That's why we want to help you be visible. So it's help people find the real thing. Help the AI be able to recommend your content to the right people. So we've developed the visibility engine. We want to make some comments on that as we kind of finalize this up.
Yeah, the visibility engine. We want you to show up, right? So of course we need you to start making content, and we will show you how to distribute that efficiently. It's really about distribution. Content's great, but if nobody sees your content, that is the problem. If I meet you and I'm like, hey, let's do a quick Google search, and I'm like, I have to really, really, really look for you, that is not visibility. Visibility is, hey, somebody meets you, gets your business card, they see your ad somewhere, they're like, hey, I want to like have a further conversation with that person. They go to search you. We want Google, especially YouTube, but we want Google to be full of your YouTube links, or like that is what visibility is. Not built overnight, but it can be built quickly in a couple weeks, months of just consistently posting once a week. And that's what we're here to teach you, is how to build it into your system, build it into your weekly schedule. It's going to be a little bit of work, but it's not. It's super straightforward if you just spend, find that time block in the week and just make your content, and then
and set up that process with the tools, the easiest tools, the most cost effective for what you're building. We're going to give you different suggestions depending on where your price point is as well, because some people have bigger budgets than others. And we are definitely, like you said, I have to make a note. One of the people you were talking to is actually kind of your competitor, but not really, because they won't even look at you if you don't have 25,000 subs.
25. The guy I ran into last night. I'm like, how you doing? And I'm like, he's like, let's clarify this. I'm like, you handle YouTube accounts 25,000 subscribers and plus, and I get you started on YouTube and I'll get you the monetization. So there's a lot of different levels of visibility out there.
Exactly. And the reality is you don't need 25,000 subs to have a successful YouTube channel. You definitely don't. So it's like, we will help you no matter what level you're at, whether you've got 16 followers or whether you have 1,000 and you just need to you want to get that next mark. We're going to work with you. We're not biased by your subs, because we can actually see a lot of small channels. You get those right people and find those right people that are watching your content is the most important thing, because it is about retaining the views as well. And not everyone is going to be your perfect sub, and you may never ever really have 25,000 viewers. You may never have 25,000 subs. However, you might have a very successful YouTube channel where you're finding the people that need you, and you're growing consistently for years. So it is about like the long-term structure of how to make it run and how to stay visible in a very noisy world, right? And it's also being aware that, use the tools that are existing, but don't create AI slop. Don't get lazy. Like, you still have to be part of this. So we want you to become visible. So you can join our gold membership. That's at breathewithinyoga.com. That gets you on our email list, and you'll get our visibility that I was talking about, the visibility strategic timing guide that I'm building for August. You'll get that, and you'll get to be up to date with everything we've got going on. So you'll be first to be informed with them. But if you go to IamYouTubeFamous.com, that gives you all the information on the visibility.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, subscriber counts are nice, but visibility is what matters, because we want engaged subscribers who are actually watching your content, commenting on your content, and organically sharing, because my goal is for you to dominate the first page of Google search without paid ads. You can do this by showing up once a week, live streaming, and then auto repurposing your shorts. So
exactly.
This is why we built the visibility engine. No paid ads.
And we have seen YouTube or different creators that have 1 million subs, and you can't find them because no one's actually watching them. No one's staying and interacting with them. So having 1 million subs, but literally not really having traction that's not a plan. You can get 1 million subs. You can pay somebody to help you get 1 million subs.
Sorry, it's literally 1 million subs with no business is really just an ego statistic people use to get paid advertisers.
Yeah.
Right?
And then
And
the advertisers are disappointed because there's nobody watching your content anyways.
this is like saying, hey, I've got 10,000 podcast downloads, but we know this is the whole reason I started YouTube University, was because I was talking to podcasters. They're like, I'm number 10 in this particular Spotify or Apple podcast list. I have 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 downloads. And I'm like, but how many people actually listens? That statistic is less than 18%. So 10,000 downloads is huge. I'm not discrediting 10,000 downloads of a podcast, but if the average percentage of people listening to a podcast is 18%, how many have actually listened to the podcast the whole way through? YouTube's going to be accurate and tell you, hey, you stream for an hour, you've got average of 2 minutes of watch time. That's an analytic you can actually improve on.
Exactly. And that's one of them that I do like about YouTube, is seeing that, okay, so I maybe only got this many views, but they stayed for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever time, right? Then you know you're making a bigger effect, and those are your audience. And when you get monetized, that is going to matter more than having 1 million subs. Like, that doesn't
A
actually
million
matter.
subs and no watch time is like, hey.
Exactly. That means nothing, right? So it is about being visible, so you do dominate. So when, especially if you have a business, when somebody searches your business, not only do they find your website, they literally will find your social media, and they'll find specifically your videos, because that's how we build that know, like, and trust in this reality now. Everybody, like we talked about, people aren't showing up for the live meetings. They're showing up for the webinars, right? How do you build that trust? Well, you build it by constantly showing up online. You can build that trust.
And if somebody's interested in your stuff, they're gonna, if you have a video sales letter about it, they're likely gonna watch that multiple times until they fully understand all the, or they believe they know, like, and trust you enough, or they believe they know enough of the environmental variables to justify the cost, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So
Or they'll just keep watching your content to be a little more persuaded on why they should watch you more, or why they should purchase your product or your service or whatever it is that you're offering, right? The more you show up, the more they're going to be like, okay, this person keeps telling me the same thing. Maybe there's something to listen to. Maybe I should take them a little more seriously. Maybe there is value. And that's how you're building that trust in kind of a trustless society at this point, right?
Yeah.
So on that, I think we should summarize up on, we go live 4 times a week, and it is to help you in different ways. Do you want to go through the schedule, or would you like me to go through the schedule?
Be my guest.
So
Go ahead.
every Saturday, you're here with our Visibility University. So this is where we talk about real strategies for being real, being on a budget, and being seen, right? How is the biggest bang for the buck to get your message out there so you show up on a regular basis and get to be seen by the people that are going to appreciate what you offer. So come and join us every Saturday, where if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, make sure you subscribe, so you'll be notified for every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern that we go live. Sundays, we go live at 7:11 Eastern, 7:11 p.m. Eastern for our weekly energy. So this one is really about setting you up for what the week has in store. So this is not about whatever you believe in. This is numerology and astrology. And there is things that the stars say are in the alignment for that week. So if you can use that week to your benefit, knowing that there's times that things are going to flow easier, there's times that are to be more reflective, we're going to give you a heads up of how that week looks. So that we do every Sunday at 7:11 p.m. Eastern. Now, some of our favorite shows, Monday nights at 7 p.m., we have our Two Real, Two Truths and a Lie. We talk about what's happening in technology and in the world and what is really happening. So we've been talking about a lot of, I guess, dystopian stories, a lot of things of what's really happening with these flock systems, what's really happening with these digital trackers we've got that you think are helping you. So we have 2 stories that are things that really happen to people, and then a story that sounds like it is and very plausible. Most of the time they haven't quite happened, but interestingly enough, by this week, a lot of the stories that weren't real are starting to become real. So it's a really great to give you to learn about what's actually happening. And then we have our Honestly Though show, which is on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. And that's where we look at kind of the combination of our weekly energy and Too Real. So we talk about news articles that match what is happening in the energy. And it's about learning discernment so we can make better choices and go forward. So they all kind of work on each other, and it gives you a better, fuller view of this reality. That's the intention, anyways. I see. You look like you want to say something, Mike.
No, I was fixing the portrait view, so
Mm.
I was like,
There
why
you
is it changing itself?
Because it's technology that's fighting you right now. Technology fighting you. So technology always works well. So it's getting in, joining us for our lives. Make sure you subscribe. You get to drop in. We are live for each of these sessions, so you can come in and have your say in these conversations. We love to have that interaction. So do join us for all of the shows, and maybe not all of them are your cup of tea, but some of them you're going to find really interesting. So I highly recommend that you track them or check them out. And then, as always, if you really want to be visible, come and join us. Join our email list at breathewithinyoga.com. That's our gold membership. And then join the visibility engine so we can help you be found and just get that signal, just like that lighthouse. It's all about getting your signal out there so you help people find you and what you have to offer.
And show up Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Drop it in the comments, your questions, because that's the whole point of this. Is we want YouTubers to jump in and say, hey, I'm trying to grow my subs or grow my watch time, or like my browser, like Lucretia is saying her browser is having a challenge with Restream, and I'm like, we have that same issue with our other MacBook. So there's always, I'm going to solve your technical issue. I just need you to show up, support us, and I will support you with your content creation journey.
Exactly, because whatever problem you've had, we have probably had a version of that problem. So just like we were talking about with our student David this morning, where he was like, well, what's up with my watch time? Well, it's interesting because it is this weird psychological thing, because once you realize it's rolling by dates, right? So it's always looking at what you said, that 28 days or 30 days. Well, whatever that time is, it's always rolling over that period. So it might look like a certain thing because you had this big boost of views on one video on like the 15th of one month. Then you get to the next month and you've been having consistent, but now you've turned over that you're past the 28 days.
I get where he's coming from, because when I was looking at it, I'm like, wow, look at that increase in subscribe, because he telling like over 900 subs in 28 days. It is like, that is crazy. Consistency produces results. But then, of course, if your watch time or your subscriber addition kind of plateaus for a week and your view shifts, you're like, well, I like what I saw 5 days ago, and I'm not as impressed with what I'm seeing today. And then you go and zoom out. Unfortunately, when you're making content and you're building up subs and watch time, your graph is going to be like, it can look great, and other times it can look depressing. And if you zoom out and you're like, oh, well, I got to this one peak and now I'm going through a valley, so now I gotta keep being consistent so I get to that next peak, right? But that's the motivation where you're like, oh my, like I went up 20, 50, 100 subs and then I lost 5. Well, maybe those 5 are fake ones or bots or people who didn't even know they subscribed, they unsubscribed. There's always excuses for the unsubscribers. Focus on the new subscribers.
So it's not only about helping you get visible, we're also kind of like a support team, because whatever you've gone through, I'm not gonna lie, we've probably gone through it. We've seen, increases in the subs and then losing subs. We've seen those watch hours go up and then go down. We've seen them fluctuate. So we can really give you that perspective that we've been here in the trenches where your competitor you met, they don't even have an online, they don't even have show up on YouTube. So the reality is they don't know what it's like to be in the trenches of making the content. They're helping people, but only those that have 25,000 subs, but they don't know what it's like to start at the bottom and work through it. And so you're getting a completely different perspective with people who have legitimately built from scratch and have had to learn it and have used other suggestions. been mastering it, and that we've mastered it because we're constantly improving, constantly learning, but we're partners with we are part of the YouTube creator partners. Is that how I say it? What is it? The YouTube.
The YouTube partner program.
There we go. That's the right words.
Logo on my sweater.
Exactly. So we know what that's like as a creator, and then keeping ourselves motivated, what's kept us motivated and what keeps us going. And so it's a support group as well, because when you start, you get some traction and then it feels like you're not really going anywhere. That's when we lose that momentum. And that's when you really need it the most, because that can be that time where you're just kind of in that lull time, right? And the algorithms and just fine tuning things, when you give up, you've lost all that momentum, right? So we want to keep you focused on seeing those little markers towards the growth so you don't give up, because you know what? If you're watching those numbers, it can be psychologically traumatizing, especially if you're like, I just want another sub or I just want more watch hours. But looking at the bigger, well, now do you show up when somebody Googles you? Oh, well, look, now your competitors, you're way before them if they search in that local plumber and you're the first plumber that shows up, right? Looking at those things, it's not always necessarily subs. It's not always necessarily watch time. They for sure help, and we look at the bigger picture, right?
100%.
So on that, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we?
No, I'm just giving Lucretia tech support in the private chat. So, so I think she's got like the exact same issue you have.
That's what I was thinking, is that she's had the same issue with that I've had, which we've now gone through. So we can now recommend the best advice based on the situation, right?
Chrome does not like the Apple M1 architecture anymore. There's a bunch of YouTube issues. I don't know why, but there's a bunch of YouTube issues with the M1 on Chrome. But you can go to Opera; it works fine.
Don't give it all away. Come and join us for our visibility engine, and we will help you with all of those things, because you'll have ran into some technical issue, some motivational issue, not sure what to do with your content, not sure how to get them everywhere. We have looked at it, and I'm not going to lie. I want to make things as easy as possible. There's certain things I have not been able to cut enough to make easier. And we'll tell you straight up, we haven't found a really good way that's consistent to maybe save time in this way, but we found these that work really well, and we're going to be honest about it. We're not going to make, and we're also not thousands and thousands of dollars. We want you to join to actually learn and take that. Now, if you've got lots of money and you want us to do it for you, we also do that. Check that out at IamYouTubeFamous.com. We will definitely work with you no matter where you're at. So check out the different levels and join us.
And we'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern for week 62. And I'm tracking them by weeks just to hold you accountable to show up every Saturday, because I'm going to outlast you, because I do this every single week.
So subscribe and like on your way out, so you'll be notified.
Yeah, go subscribe. I'm super happy that I've added subs today. So thank you so much for those.
Got a little boost, and then tomorrow you'll have lost like 1 or 2, and then you'll be sad.
At least the graph don't lie. May lie about watch time, but the subs, it'll say you've added some today, and I can just frame that on my wall.
It doesn't lie. The graphs don't lie. The time.
That's why I say don't focus on the watch time. Don't focus on the subs. Focus on making content and actually showing up every single week. And even if that depression hit, that midsummer, that December depression hits you, keep making content, because like any business, like any content creator, ups and downs, and all the quitters quit on the downs and the valleys. And we don't want you to be a quitter. We want you to be a winner. That's why 1 video per week. So we ask 1 video per week.
And you got to remember, nothing. Rome wasn't built in a day. Mr. Beast's account was not built in a day. If you follow him, it took him years of mastering it. And we forget this because you always think it's easy when you see that successful person, but you don't see all the years, all the hundreds of thousands of hours behind the scenes getting to that point. We want to help you so you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of hours. Try to get you past those problems that we've struggled with. And we want to.
I think that's the one last thing I'm going to say, is because, when I run into people, like last night, I ran into can't really call him a competitor. He also runs a YouTube agency. He's based in Dallas. I'm based in Canada. We met in person first time in Austin. Small world when you run into somebody and you're in the same space. But I know somebody else in Austin who does YouTube ads. These people started like 2011, 2012. So the ones who've done well with this stuff, they've been doing it so long that I've got different experience with building YouTube than they do. So it's just kind of funny where you're just like, hey, they got wild stories, we got wild stories, and that's why it's nice to, like you can't even compare yourself, because if somebody's been doing something longer than you, you're just like, wow, I'm just going to learn from you because you've been consistent enough that you only handle large channels because you've got over a decade of experience with it. I can tell people monetize in 2024. I'm like 2 years in, right? 2 years in of being in that particular club.
Then there was also, but before that, there was all the years of us making the content, starting to create
all the struggle years and following 20 random YouTube coaches on YouTube. They're like titles, descriptions, thumbnails, clickbait,
hashtags that aren't even relevant.
And to realize tactics work only if you're making content every single week.
And not all tactics are as worth it. And
hashtags probably aren't even useful anymore, but you can still search by them. But there's just so much content now that all your buddies everybody's copying you. Let's just put it that way. Everybody's putting up, be unique, make your own contents.
And I'm not saying it gets easier at the end. It's always about, all I can think of is one of the YouTubers I follow. They're called like the content machine. And the more you make content, the more you get. I get that, the content machine, because you're always wanting to come up with something new, wanting to share something. And when you start getting into that process, you do kind of feel like a content machine. However, you need to make the content for people to find you. So you are that lighthouse, putting out that message and that consistent message. And it only has to be once a week, but it has to be consistent and showing up all the time to make that visible. So on that, I think we're going to end for now. Thank you everybody for joining us, and make sure you do subscribe on your way out, and we will see you next week.